Hello, it's Brent Porcio, topvelocity.net, and this is going to be kind of like a fun and exciting pitching analysis because I'm doing a video here um, of a guy. I don't. He didn't post his name, and he titled it "Weird Pitching," but basically it's submarine pitching, and I found some good footage of um, a Japanese pitcher. I forgot his name, but he actually was in the World Baseball Classic, and a good sub guy. Really, I mean, like really, I mean, you couldn't be any more sub than this guy. I'm not even gonna say his name. Starts with a W. But I mean, watching his delivery is like watching Japanese animation. It's pretty wild. So this is gonna be a fun and wild pitching analysis. So hold on to your hats here. So like I said, I don't have his name, so I'm just gonna call it just call him. We'll just say this guy over here. Okay, so let's take him into his leg lift. And you understand as we're doing this analysis, because it's a submarine uh, style delivery, the only thing that really changes is of course, the shoulder, where the shoulders are at front foot strike. So you're obviously dipping here. If you're going to get your arm angle down to the ground, then you're going to have to dip your torso down to the ground. So I'm not really going to get into that because I don't spend a lot of time with sub guys. This is the first actually sub analysis I've ever done. I actually, when I played minor league ball, my uh, roommate and throwing partner, EJ, he converted to a sub guy, and I think he was like 90, 91 over the top, and then he dropped down. He was like 87 to 89, and it would break my thumb every time I would catch it because it just broke, ran so much. So I was around him all the time, and so I know sub guys well enough because we were at least a year together playing pitch and catch every day. So I have a decent understanding about it. But what I'm going to do is come at it where the same mechanics apply as far as the physics of it. So I'm just going to come at it in that standpoint to help the young man here. And I'm not going to get into the style of submarine. I'm just going to show you just basically the 3x approach. The 3x approach would enhance velocity here, just like it enhances it for a left-handed or right-handed pitcher, no matter what arm angle you decide to take. Um, you're going to see how this is going to be a good analysis because it's going to show how the 3x approach really, as physics driven, applies at all arm angles. Okay, so let's go with that. All right, so you see the young man here. He's got a really high leg lift. That's a lot of flexibility there. A lot of flexibility there. Really not necessary. Call it lift. I wrote an article, lift for show, load for dough, and I don't really, not a big guy, big advocate of a high leg lift. So, but whatever. All right, so he closes off well. He takes his knee back to his drive leg, even though he throws his leg up like Chuck Norris. And then we can see here the Japanese pitcher closes off as well. I think if we were more on his inside, we'd see this lift leg knee back to the drive leg. So we can see him closing off, looking over his glove side as well, weight inside his drive leg foot. I'd say the young man here could have a little bit more of his head and front hip out over his inside foot a little bit more. He might be a little too balanced up here just so we already have some forward momentum or forward progress at the leg lift. But all in all, this is going to be the same for any delivery. Okay, so as we start the movement, as we move into the load position, now you're going to see what the Japanese guy does here is he leads with his hip, and he also starts to lean his, or I wouldn't say it's a fall. He starts to kind of crouch the torso or drop the torso forward as the lift leg or as he's moving forward and the lift leg starts to open up. Now, his load position is going to be kind of in a runner's position. So I always like to relate the pitching delivery to a runner or the mechanics of sprinting. So he really gets into the kind of more of a runner's position than what a 3/4 over the top pitcher gets into, just because the trunk is down. So ultimately, you're going to load. You're going to put even more flexion on your drive leg than you are over the top. Now you can understand we're still trying to create as much hip shoulder separation as we can, but because our weight is forward, it's harder to keep our shoulder closed. So you're going to see sub guys build more flexion on the drive leg so they can get ultimately more extension to help them with separation. So there is a lot to learn from these sub guys, because what a big belief I have in generating more shoulder separation besides triple extension is the tilt. And there's a great article I wrote on that about Tim Lincecum, because he uses it really well. Guys that can tilt the other way than these sub guys can tilt up back towards their butts. They're going to have more gravity pulling the shoulder back, so it's easier for them to stay closed into front foot strike when we're creating that torque or hip shoulder separation. So these sub guys, because they're leaning forward, which makes it even harder to get hip to shoulder separation, they have to really, really work hard at it. And that's why I believe we lose. You'll see pitchers lose. Like I said with my roommate, EJ, he lost maybe a couple miles an hour. You lose speed when you drop these arm ankles, I believe, strictly because of the loss in hip to shoulder separation due to that forward tilt. So we can see here that the Japanese pitcher is having to really load on the drive leg and throw the arm back at the same time and close the shoulders. So look at the shoulders. They're literally pointing to the ground, and he's loaded well. So let's see what the young man's able to do. So he's going to, same thing. He's going to dip, but look, he's extending a little too early. So I guess your load would be right here. So big difference. You don't have the flexion that this sub guy has. And I'll tell you right now, because of the lean like this, you're putting more weight on your lower half, because you're having to hold yourself up, because if you stopped, you'd eat dirt. You don't have that when you're in a regular 3/4 over the top delivery. So a young guy working in the sub position is not going to be able to be as effective, because your leg strength isn't there. So you need to see that you're actually putting yourself in a position. If you're going to be a sub guy, you got to get some strong legs, because the positions you're putting yourself in, and basically you're going to have to, in this position, build speed. I mean, that you're putting so much more demand on your leg strength and core strength because of this throwing style. So you can see how this young man is just not creating the flexion that the sub guy, that the Japanese guy here is creating. So watch him. He's going to do the same thing. He's going to take this. He's going to get that force factor in line. Look, he's trying to get it more in line. Everything's going vertical. He's even taking the glove side shoulder in there because he doesn't want to open up early. Look at this arm back here, but it's in line with those shoulders. So he has hip to shoulder separation. And if we pulled him upright, he'd be in the same position. He wouldn't change. So basically, if you want to throw well as a sub guy, you just take the mechanics of an over top 3/4 guy, and you just tilt his trunk in towards his belt buckle or inside. And the shoulders, everything, the hip to shoulders are going to stay in the same position. So look, he gets that force vector in line really well. You can see the young man doesn't really get it in line, so that's why he's going so vertical here. So look, as he's driving, he's going vertical. We're jumping. So you really need to do a better job at keeping your shoulders closed, getting your trunk all the way down, and that force vector in line like a sprinter. So he knows that when he drives now, he's going to go as straight to that target as he can. And being a sub guy, you really need to do that better, because you're not working with an over the top or 3/4 delivery where you're coming because you're going down a hill. The ball's releasing and moving down to the target. You're releasing under the strike zone. So you have to get more linear, because if you release that ball and you move too vertical, you're going to just throw a big rainbow to the hitter, or if you throw it hard, you're going to launch it way over his head. So you got to see how much more these guys have to get linear. But look, the same thing. He's going to get triple extension. So as he's getting that extension, he is opening his shoulders, because of, like I said, when your trunk is all the way forward and then you start to drive, it's almost impossible to hold the shoulder back. So even though these guys create hip to shoulder separation, they get very I mean, to tell you the truth, if he was standing upright, that would be good, decent hip to shoulder separation, but not as effective because this arm, now we know the gravity's on this arm and it's going. If he was upright, there would be no force or no force behind the shoulder and it wouldn't be moving. So we know that this is not, these shoulders are already moving because here it was here, now it's moving. Even though it's separated, it's still moving. So that's why potentially he could create more velocity in an upright position. But he still is able to do it. So he still hips triple extension with his shoulders separated into front foot. So we can see he's getting that triple extension into front foot. And it's just not as an effective position as an upright position in generating torque. So you're just not going to see the torque. And this is where that's why he tried to get so linear, because and keep the arm back. So you need to really focus on that too, getting the force vector more linear with the shoulders almost over rotated. So you can see you here never got to that position. You went to vertical. You never got full triple extension. You just kind of did a little lateral movement, landed, and you're trying to hold your shoulders here, but you're not creating torque out of it. And then we can see your hip and shoulder going together. When here, with this picture, he was able to get some separation. And look at this. This is where it looks like Japanese animation. I mean, look how quickly that arm gets going. So he had to get his separation early. Here, into triple extension, still had some of it, and then that launched the arm because there was a lot of force there through the drive into the ball. I mean, look at this. He's literally touching the ground. So you're way off the ground. So, you're just basically from the sub position, you're going to have to get lower, more linear, earlier separation, and then really turn it on with that explosive drive to get as much power into that ball as you can, because potentially you're not going to generate the velocity that you can in an over the top or 3/4 arm slot. So, definitely was a weird analysis, but there's a lot to learn here. When you see it from a different perspective with the 3X approach, the triple extension and the leg power here in this sub guy is even more critical than if he was over the top. So it just shows you, if you really want to make a career as a sub guy, you really do need to work. You probably need to work even harder with your leg strength, because not you can be throwing rainbows your whole career, and it just from the sub position that doesn't work. I mean, for sub guys to be effective, they have to throw hard. I really don't think sub guys can be sub guys. I mean, you don't see a sub knuckleball or a sub, anything else. You have to throw hard from the sub angle, and so you're going to have to develop some really explosive power through that triple extension, and that's where the 3X Pitching Velocity program is going to do it for you. The strength and conditioning program, the fusion system, is everything you would need to be able to develop that core and leg strength and explosive power as well. And then the throwing program, you're just going to basically take the throwing program, learn it from the over the top, and when you get to the target throws, we do the med throws, when you get to the target throws, then you want to drop your torso and work from your sub positions. But definitely the 3X Pitching Velocity program would be just as effective for you as a sub guy. So I hope this helps, and wish you the best of luck.